Alright, so I got the new OEM crossover pipe installed. Just torquing down the little screws. So before I even try to refill anything, I'm going to be divorcing the cooling system. I got a little fake ass catch can here, reservoir. Got it off of Amazon, and it only came with this nipple. I had to drill a hole and then put this bigger one here. It's a 3/4 inch Barb nipple. That's going to be going down into this hose here. That should also be 3/4 inch hose that I'm going to have to replace. The cap, I believe, is 5/8 for that hard line. So I want to delete that, or at least divorce that first, just in case if this fails on me again, I can stop losing a whole bunch of coolant, throwing off the whole cooling system. So that is what's going on now. I just have to get the new hose and caps for that. And I should be doing that tomorrow, but the new one is in. We'll see if it leaks. So got the new crossover pipe in, and I filled this up, and so far everything's looking good. I'm not seeing anything leak out of there. So definitely recommend that if you're going to replace that coolant pipe, do it with an actual OE supplier or by OEM. But one thing that I did to help monitor that possible leak is I capped off this hard line here. This plug is a 5/8 plug. It's very hard to find actual sizing on the internet. I found somebody saying that it was 3/4 inch, and I got that size plug and it was way too big. As far as the hose, I do believe that this is a 3/4 inch hose, that from the bottom of where it tees into the pump for the supercharger cooling system is 3/4 inch, and then it necks down to 5/8. So I got my cheap Amazon reservoir here. I added that nipple here at the bottom, and I capped off the original nipple that came with this reservoir. It does have a hole at the top. I'm going to leave it uncovered for now, see if that helps with bleeding the system. But as far as adding that 3/4 inch nipple, I had to drill a hole at the bottom and widen it out with a Dremel. And this is pretty thin, so I thought I was going to be able to thread this nipple in. But once I threaded it in, I guess it got to a point, because it does have an O-ring, it got to a point where there was no threads to hold it in. So I had to use some epoxy to seal it up and hold it in place. But I'm going to try to fashion a bracket for it. It does come with its own little bracket, but I got to make something that will go into this little stud here that the AC line bracket was in. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Alright, so there's the T, and that goes into that pump there. Unfortunately, the only way to get that clamp off is to hit it with a Dremel, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, so it's close quarters in here, so I wasn't able to record. But yeah, I believe I have cut all the way through. If not, I'll hit it again. But you want to be careful not to go all the way through. Alright, finally went through. Obviously you can see that it went through because there's fucking smoke coming out of that fucking hose. Alright, so I got the hose off. I had to cut into the hose a little bit because this thing is pretty thick actually. But I got it off, and there's no damage to that nipple there. I didn't go through the hose. So that is off, and now I can work on mounting up that reservoir. Alright, so I don't know if you can see, but I fashioned this little L bracket, and I'm using the mounting hardware that was supplied with the reservoir. So it's just a big ass clamp and then their bracket, and then I made that little L bracket there. So this is gonna sit up here, probably this way. And I like the color. I like the black pearl. Well, of course dirty, but you get the gist, right? You see the flakes. And I was not going for that, but it matches kind of. But I'll just continue finishing this up. Just gotta push that hose in through that barb a little more, and then secure this little bracket to my ghetto little bracket. All right, so my divorce setup is finally complete. Everything's bolted on. I've measured the clearance between the headlight and the reservoir, and it is tight, but there shouldn't be any issues. Same thing with the AC hardline. And so I've been waiting. It's been a couple hours now, and I'm not noticing any leaks. I got a rag down there to catch any coolant, so no leaks there. And I'm using this SEDY 19-piece coolant funnel kit. Comes with this funnel and attachments, a lot of attachments to fit all kinds of automotive reservoirs and radiators. Also comes with a bunch of little funnels. And the neat thing about this, it comes with a stopper, so now that I have it all full, the best way to extract this is just put a plunger up in here and then pull that funnel out and then dump it out into one of these bottles. And if you didn't have a divorce setup, once you're bleeding everything, you want the coolant to be higher than any of your bleed ports. So once you have everything full and there's no more coolant going down into the system, you crack open the bleeder valves if your heat exchanger has them. The ECS one has two, so you just crack them until liquid starts to come out. Same thing with the supercharger. There's two of them back here. You crack those until coolant starts to come out. But saying that is divorced, I haven't done that yet because I haven't filled this up. Still trying to confirm that where the thermostat and the coolant pipe meet, that it's not going to leak anymore. And so far things look promising, because with the Amazon one, as soon as the system was full, it would start to leak. So another way to torque down the pulley bolts without having the belt to hold the belt from spinning is to use something to put between the bolt to torque it down, to keep it from spinning. So I'm going to use the same serpentine belt tool to do it. I'm pretty sure I covered it in the other video, but these are 20 Newton meters. So there's one. There's two. And there's three. Alright, so I got coolant in the new reservoir tank, and I want to bleed the heat exchanger. You can hear the air. And obviously the level's gone down in there, so I gotta refill it. On to this one. Still air bubbles coming out of the other one, but not concerned at the moment right now. Alright, so I'll show you guys again. You want to stop bleeding once you don't see any air bubbles come out, once it's straight fluid. And that to me looks like straight fluid. Let's go back to this side. Still having air. And now it seems like it's just fluid. A little bit of air bubbles. So to bleed the heater core, you have to go in the car and turn the accessory power on, not all the way on, and then turn your HVAC controls on. And oh shit, you want to put it at the highest temperature. That way it opens up the valves and shit and allows coolant to be able to go in and out of that heater core. Once you have that done, that's when you go up under the cowl and then bleed from there. All right, so to bleed the heater core, this coolant hose here with a hole in it, you're gonna have to undo that clamp and then pull the hose back until you line up that hole with the hard line, and then you just let it drain out until you get clear fluid and no air bubbles. I'm going to be using the Work Pro flexible hose clamp removal tool here to get that clamp off because it is at a very awkward position. And I don't want to remove this tray here to get to it. So just line the tool up. It's lined up. There it is. It's loose. Move it around. Kind of loose it in the back here, so that's out of the way. And now I have to pull this hose back. Best way to break it loose is get some pliers and twist the hose around. It's on there, and I'm seeing fluid already come out. I had to move the hose clamp pliers out of the way. It was limiting my movement. There you go. See the bubbles coming out. There you go. No more air bubbles. All right. I just gotta release the clamp. There you have it. So that's how you bleed the heater core. All right, so everything's finished up. There's no coolant leaks. I got the heat exchanger bled. Got the intercooler bricks bled. I did have the heat on in the car, so it was at max. It's gone down to minimum. Now I'm getting coolant into the heater core. My newly divorced coolant setup is working properly. I looked in here earlier and there was a lot of little bubbles from the pump pushing the fluid back up into here, but that's all good to go. And so I am done with the coolant refresh on this car. I double, triple, quadruple check this coolant pipe going into the thermostat, and there's no leaks. And the water pump obviously is good to go. And that's it. So catch you guys in the next one. Here's a sound clip of the current exhaust setup that I have right now. I did end up replacing that Resonated X with a smaller muffler, so stay tuned for that video.